we need to look at Zimbabwe now, because the Zimbabweans didn't just wake up and decide to run South Africa. I don't think even most of them wants to be here. You know, if
Yeah.
if Zimbabwe was running, they wouldn't come here. Zimbabweans are one of educated group in Africa, like South Africa, Botswana, Kenya. These are educated people. These are people who used to have the one of the best education system. So the problem is economy, the government, and this has to do with global with other nations, the Western countries that are powerful. They have created this situation. We all know that. And then South Africa is carrying the burden. We all know that. Those are
But
things
when,
we
if
need to
we, my
address
brother,
moving
sorry
forward.
to cut you short, but if we all
Okay.
know this, okay, if we all
Mm.
know this, then why is it that we are fighting among us ourselves, and yet we know who is behind everything?
Okay. Can I respond? South
Okay,
African government is not, it's not fighting with Zimbabwean government. South
no,
Africans that are in middle class that are eating well, they're not fighting with Zimbabweans. And
yes,
if also you get my point, this is not
it's true.
about South Africans fighting immigrants, especially African immigrants. These are poor people targeting the next poor group, and they happen to be
Exactly.
mostly African migrants. You get my point? The
Yes,
people in Deep Sleuth are not even watching this video. The people in Deep Sleuth are not on Twitter. They don't care. These are poor people who don't afford data to get information and to be everywhere. They see the
true.
next victim. You don't look like them. You don't speak like them. They are also struggling. You are in their country. They entitled to their country, because where else can they go? For them, South Africa is the only thing they have. You compete for their bread. Can be their next victim. I'm not saying this is allowed, but there's just too many people now in South Africa that these people can now point a finger. That's what I'm saying. Even during apartheid, not more than 200,000 South Africans left South Africa. One reason was that apartheid government had an electrical fence wall. They didn't allow everybody to just walk away. But also, I believe South Africans, as cultural as people, they don't have that mindset of just running away. Maybe the apartheid government made them used to just fight and stay at home. So we have never had that situation. I'm not saying. I mean, we have lived with many migrants from Zimbabwe, right? Millions of them. The biggest problem, my sister, is this. Now, I believe if only Southern migrants were migrating South Africa in millions, South Africa can hold, right? South African economy is the dominant one in the Southern region. But the biggest problem, my sister, is consider this as well. We've got the West, we've got the Central, we've got the East, even some North now. I've been starting to see the Egyptians, the Algerians, everybody's here. And you go to our hospitals and everything, it's down. As a Zimbabwean, my sister, if South Africa goes down completely now, right? You know this. If South Africa goes down completely now, the southern region is over. It's fucked up. So you only not need to protect South Africa for South African benefits. You protect South Africa so that the entire continent can stand. That's what's happening. And if we keep
But
sending
then the
everybody
issue,
to South
the
Africa,
issue is, why are you targeting Zimbabweans?
no, Zimbabweans are not target. Let me tell you what's happening. First of all, Zimbabweans are more than any migrants in South Africa. I think followed by Mozambicans, right? And then there will be Malawians, and then somewhere Nigerians, Somalis, Ethiopians. All these groups of migrants, when they come to South Africa, I don't know if it's culture or what is it, they behave differently, right? We know that what Nigerians do in South Africa, we know what Zimbabweans do in South Africa, we know what Mozambicans tend to do, Malawi, Somalians, Ethiopians. Most southern people behave similar, like there's slightly there's no huge difference between Zimbabwe and Mozambique migrants in South Africa, as well as Malawi. Then, but you can see a huge variety now when you introduce the Pakistanians, the Ethiopians, the Somalians. Then you go to West Africa, you talk about the Ghanaians, the Senegalese, the Nigerians. These migrants behave the same, they behave differently, and they all live in different environments, and they are exposed to different environments and different kind of South Africans. There's a factor, and it contributes a lot. Now, if you go to Deep Sleuth, you hardly find an Ethiopian or a Pakistan living there, like a normal
No,
person
no, no, no.
waking up to go to fight to get a job, right? They either own in a small shop, or and then if they stay somewhere, maybe they go there for their business, or they put one of their brother there, and then but the whole family might stay somewhere, right? If there's a
Mm.
Zimbabwean or Mozambican move to South Africa, especially the poor ones, they tend to completely live among the people of Deep Sloot, the
They're
poor ones,
locals.
because we're more similar, right? We speak the same languages and we look close, right? It's easy for
Mm.
them to assimilate. That's why when the poor attack, it's about who's their next victim, who's the one who live among. It's not about targeting a specific nation. It's about who's there when they attack. It's like when people say why South Africans don't attack immigrants from UK, from America, the white
Mm.
ones. When they migrate to South Africa, they own the global economy, they own currency, they own money, right? Where do they live in South Africa? Do the poor people even see these people? They don't even see them as migrants. They just believe they're white South Africans to begin with. They cannot even tell, because when they come here, they've got money, they drive fancy cars. It's just another next white South African. You get my point? They don't even see these
Yeah.
people. So these are, that's what I'm saying. These are very complex issues. The biggest problem is South African government has played a huge role in allowing this to happen. South African
Okay.
government it's actually the most influential government in Africa. They know all the issues that are
Exactly.
happening around Africa, especially Zimbabwe, our neighboring country, right? Let's say 15 years ago, when this shit started to be worse, the currency of Zimbabwe losing its been started to be devalued by the Western. South Africa should
Mm.
have reacted right there. Right now, South Africa cannot go to Europe and dictate Poland. They will fuck South Africa. You get my point? We have
Yeah.
allowed these global countries to come and dictate one of us, and we wouldn't do anything. And now South Africa is suffering it's suffering the consequences, because the Zimbabweans sit down and they're like, oh, we are suffering. Which country is our neighbor where we can walk in, but the economy is doing well? They're not gonna walk in Malawi or Zambia. They're not gonna do. They're gonna walk in South Africa or Botswana. This is common sense. It
It's
could have
true.
happened to us as well, or Botswana. Now you see, they're gonna walk into countries that are doing well and countries that are
Mm.
popular. You get my point. South Africa is
It's
being
true.
branded as like an economic hub of Africa just by that. Too, they don't even know that Botswana has got higher standards of living than South Africa. But
Mm.
It's like Canada and USA. USA is branded as the global economy, you know. But if you look at it,
Yes.
Canada's got higher standards of living than USA. But people are running to USA, you know,
Mm-hmm.
right
Mm-hmm.
there. It's part of the problem. People think
Yeah.
South Africa, it's where it's happening.
Yeah, but let me ask you, you have really raised some important points. Someone is saying, Lozi is talking sense, Sister Ziki, and someone is saying, Lozi, you are right. No one desires to leave their own country. So why are we banning each other? Should we not, as differentiated people, unite to fight the system, thereby fixing Africa?
Okay, can I respond, my sister,
Mm-hmm.
to that? Look, Africans have been making strides. Africa, there's a progress. If we say about South Africa of 8 years ago, even South Africa, it's not the same. Things have changed, right? But this change at the government level, it changes at the corporate level, it changes among the middle class, you know, the working class, the top people, not not at the poor level. The thing is, this is not about South Africans banning people. Even South Africans ban even other South Africans who are problematic in their communities. You know, the problem is the theory behind this, is the idea that a migrant shouldn't feel threatened in South Africa, because once it gets there, everybody feels threatened. We shouldn't be banning migrants, because banning a South African and banning an immigrant is not the same. I understand that one. Trust me, my sister. I understand
Mm-hmm.
that one. But a poor
Yeah.
man doesn't have use common sense. First of all, a poor person is slightly poor because they're not that educated. They don't want to think right. In South Africa, to be poor, it can be like a choice sometimes. You know, I know our economy is
Mm.
not the best in the world, but a poor person in Zimbabwe, 70% of the time is because of the economy and the government. But in South Africa, could be just because you're not trying hard enough. You get my point? So these are people who are entitled. These are people with excuses. They will use anything. They don't care. They don't think like me and you. They don't want to even see it like that. So these are just poor people doing what they can do. to do. If we interview people in Deep Sleuth, South Africans, Zimbabweans, Mozambicans, we get a better clue. I never lived
It's
in Deep Sleuth,
true.
but Deep Sleuth is a very, it's a poor area of South Africa, and this is
Mm,
what must not be allowed. No country allows foreigners to migrate to other countries who will live in such conditions. That's why when you migrate, Western countries ask you, they check your financial record. They ask
it's
you,
true. It's
what are
true.
you coming here to do? Because they know if you are poor, you aid into the poor masses, you're gonna live among the poor. What's gonna happen? What's gonna
Yeah,
happen? You get my
it's
point.
true.
South Africans don't hate Zimbabweans. Zimbabweans don't hate South Africans. We are living in a Western system. We are all affected by this because we are all eating the crumbs. We have to
Mm-hmm,
wait for them
mm-hmm.
to eat, and then they throw uh, to the next house nigger they find, and then the house nigger eats, and then he has to throw to the slave. That's what is the problem. We are all competing for the left out, and
But
unfortunately, it's an
okay,
unfortunate thing.
sorry,
Mm,
sorry to cut you short. I wanted to ask about Operation Dudula.
yes.
We saw the comments that they were making after this whole incident. I have been following some of the comments. They said, well, we are not going to be mourning for only this one person. Okay, we are losing people every day, so there's no need for us to be
Mm.
mourning only this. Do you subscribe to the, to Operation Dudula?
Yeah. So I subscribe to Operation Dudula. In what can I will explain. There's
Okay.
Operation Dudula, and then there's individuals who probably support Operation Dudula, and this can be extreme individuals, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
leaders of Operation Dudula and the people who are around in Tlatlalax, they for me they resonate with South Africa, and they are these they've got practical solutions. They're not
Mm,
extreme. In fact, I would say EFF is more dangerous than Ntatlalax, because Ntatlalax is offering solutions that can work, and he's peaceful. He's doing it with the legal institutions, because when he does this, sometimes he's got the police around him. I think the problem is the society on its own now. It's South Africa. It's boiling now. You get my point. The extreme
mm,
people will rise, and some will use the movement, and I think we need to be careful right there. Yes,
true.
some part of these things that are happening, Operation Dudula played a role in that, because even if they do it right, other extreme groups are rising, and it's
Mm,
unfortunate, because how do you control that? How doesn't Tatalax control other rising extreme groups? You get my point. I think that's what he's struggling with, because the government is not assisting the boy. The government is actually letting this play out. The government could have avoided a lot of things. I mean, for us to even have Operation Dudula in the first place, it
mm,
shows that something is wrong. A young man from Soweto is rising, he's saying enough is enough. But he's trying to do it the legal way as much as possible. He doesn't have the resources to control other
mm,
groups that are going to rise. You have Malema, who I believe is funded by other external forces to just disrupt. I feel like Malema actually EFF owns one of this newsroom. I think it's Africa Newsroom, or I forgot the name. It's one of the
yeah.
media corporation. So there is some companies that are spreading misinformation. They don't even listen to what the boy is saying, or the operation to do la movement, because it's not their agenda. They doing what they don't want. They hope these people start violence. They want to see that. They hoping for that. That's why what
Mm.
happened in Diepsloot has nothing to do with Operation Dudula in terms of principles.
Yeah.
Maybe
Mm-hmm.
it has to do with Operation Dudula because of the latest movement that Operation Dudula has been doing in terms of dealing with this whole thing, exposing the
Mm.
illegal immigrants and exposing the weakness of our government. But the things that happen in places like Diepsloot, it's something different. You get my point. Yes,
Mm.
Nkakalaks went there with its movement, but they were not there to cause problems. They are not responsible for the people who
Yeah,
went
because
later
I
and
was
killed them. Mm.
I was actually following on that when Hlantla went to dispute, and there was another group. They were saying, "Well, Hlantla is here to take our movement. To take this us. We started this thing here. So what is he doing here? He just want to steal the limelight."
Yeah, but I'm skeptical about that, because I feel like that was EFF people trying to say the people of Deep Sloot don't want Operation Dudula. See, you've got the people of Deep Sloot, the citizens who are like can resonate with Tlatlalax, who will never harm or kill a foreigner. But these people
Mm,
are affected by illegal immigrants. Among the
mm,
people of Deep Sloot, you have got the extreme ones who will use this
sure.
opportunity to go and ban an immigrant later. Then you've got the EFF ones, the Pan Africans who are not living in practical world, right? This whole thing is so complex that people need to break things and
It's
get into the
complex.
details. Yes, you get my point. Both EFF and Tlatlalax play role in influencing the South Africa you see today, but I wouldn't solely blame both parties in terms of what the outcome that happened in Deep Sloot. Basically, I would say
Mm,
it's just poor people doing what they wanted to do so like long before. Then they just looking for those excuses. That moment,
mm,
then they rise
mm.
and do this. It's like what
So
happened
now,
in Zimbabwe, if you remember, if I can take you back, my sister.
mm,
Mugabe never said Zimbabweans must chase white people. You get my point. But
yes.
he was getting somewhere of getting the land, right? Then the extremists took that opportunity, and the same time they started to really penetrate the farmers and start to do what they did. That's exactly
Mm,
it's similar situation. People will take any opportunity to push their agenda.
mm, mm. Anyways.